Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Thai Talk with Jenny. In today's video, you will hear a story about an American man. His name is John. John wants to live in Pattaya to enjoy himself, and he doesn't want to get married. But he wants a go-go dancer to become his girlfriend. Her name is Daisy. Well, plenty of a beautiful go-go dancer has Thai boyfriends, and consider a Western man is a paying customer and nothing else. So, has John found this exception to the rules? Let's find out. But before we listen to the story, please like and subscribe to my channel. And at the end of the story, please leave the comment. I will try to reply all your comments with my opinion. And if you enjoy this content, please consider buying me coffee to support my channel. Also, you can join my private community on Patreon. The link is down below in the description. There, you can ask me advice about Thailand or anything Thailand related. Okay, let's hear John's crazy Pattaya story. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Hi Jenny, my name is John. I just came across your channel and wondered if you would feature my Thailand story. I come from the New England area of the States. I'm 51 years old, a bachelor, and I don't have any kids. I decided to permanently move to Thailand in 2016. Before I made the move, I'd been quite well paid in the US as an airline pilot. But that changed after a car accident that caused me to go partially blind in one eye. I couldn't continue my job because I couldn't pass the eye test for the medical. So I decided I needed a complete change, and Thailand was top of my list of desirable destinations. I'd visited Bangkok many times for my work and spent a few holidays there too, so I was quite familiar with the Thai culture, and I could even speak a little Thai. My plan was to take early retirement in Thailand. I'd never been to Pattaya, but I'd heard it had great hotels, luxury condos, and amazing nightlife, and it was on the beach. From what I'd heard, it was just what I was looking for. So, after landing in Bangkok, I took a 3-hour taxi ride to Pattaya city. After checking into my hotel, I headed out to discover the Pattaya nightlife, and I wasn't disappointed. Far from it, it was perfect. Live music, excellent dining, and a non-stop party atmosphere was just what I was looking for at this time in my life. I loved the choice of so many different entertainment venues, all squeezed into one small city. Then there were the women in Pattaya. Many of the Thai girls there just loved to party, and it seemed a case of whatever happens in Pattaya stays in Pattaya, a bit like in the movie The Hangover. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And I thought to myself amusingly, I'm a Pattaya boy. Yeah, I was living the dream, or so I thought. And being a keen golfer, I joined a golf club, which enabled me to make quite a few quality new friends, and I also started playing electric guitar in a band, which was great fun. I can't deny that Pattaya gave me that electrifying buzz that I was looking for. I also regularly went out to some of the beer bars and indulged in some of the girls there. But I didn't overdo it, and I was always careful to find time for a round of golf now and then. As far as women were concerned, I saw a few women, but nothing serious, and that's how I liked it to be. Besides, I thought, I was getting too old to be getting into having a family. I mean, imagine if I had kids now. I'd be in my 70s, before they even finished university. Now, that just wouldn't be fair on me, and it definitely wouldn't be fair on the kids either. No, and in fact, if I'm honest, I like the relationships that people have when they spend their first 3 months together dating. You know, when it's all new and exciting and the girl is sweet and lovely, which I've noticed over the years rapidly evaporates after women get married and have kids. Yeah, I like to wine and dine a woman and show her I'm a romantic. Call me a Casanova if you like, I don't care. And whenever a relationship gets too serious, I could always find an easy way out. Fortunately for me, there was a huge surplus of women in Pattaya, So I worked out that it would be easy to hop in and out of short-term affairs. Unfortunately, they all, or nearly all, wanted men to pay them for spending time with them. Now, I didn't object to paying for a few drinks if a pretty young woman, wearing nothing more than her underwear, sat beside me in a go-go bar. That's fair enough, she's working in the bar, and it's her job to keep the customers happy, keep the drinks flowing, and keep the ching-ching of the cash register ringing. But that was as far as it went for me regarding money. I thought that if I started paying bar fines and taking girls back to my hotel, then I might as well have been back in the States, picking up women on street corners. Pay for play is pay for play. You can't sugarcoat it. It is what it is. But then again, I didn't see anything wrong with a girl working in a go-go bar as a dancer and separating that from the relationship she has with her boyfriend or husband. If the man doesn't have jealousy issues, that is. Work life and personal life are different things if you ask me, and they can be separated. And yes, I knew many girls who worked in the bars and the go-go clubs who would finish their shift and get picked up by their Thai boyfriends or husbands at 2 or 3 in the morning and go straight home. Of course, some might say, why don't you just get a girlfriend who works at a 7-Eleven or who works in the shop or in a bank? But for me, the most stunning women I'd ever seen was some of the go-go bar dancers. Regular working women just didn't do it for me. They were too boring. And let's be honest, seeing a stunning young woman spinning around a pole, wearing little more than her birthday suit is something of a man's fantasy. But I wanted to live the fantasy. I didn't want to wait until a woman was in the mood. So, go-go dancers are like instant meals to me. Just add alcohol and they're good to go. So one night, about 2 weeks after arriving in Pattaya, I walked into a go-go bar and spotted the most beautiful, steaming hot go-go dancer I'd ever seen. And believe me, I've seen a lot. Her nickname was Daisy, and I was mesmerized at her moving on the stage. She had a perfect body and seemed to be in love with her dancing. She caught my glance and I indicated to her to come and have a drink with me. She drank the watered-down Sang-som whiskey that all the girls drank, and after about 30 minutes, I noticed she'd already cost me about 800 baht in lady drinks. But this girl was hot, smoking hot, so I didn't care. Another round, please. Daisy wore green contact lenses and had dyed her hair blonde. This made her look even more exotic than the other Thai girls, and with her amazing figure, she was not going to be working at the go-go bar for long. Some wealthy guy would snap her up, I thought, as she sat with me stroking my leg and my ego. She knew how to excite a guy. She also spoke understandable English, but it was far, far from fluent. She'd obviously learned the limited vocabulary to converse and flatter men who came to watch her dance, and that was fine by me. I joked with her about whether she wanted to find a rich Western husband, and she just laughed. She didn't say yes or no. Then she looked at me and said, "Why? You like me? I not believe you. I think you butterfly," suggesting that I was one of those guys who liked to hop from one girl to another in the bars. She wasn't far wrong, but, considering her occupation, I thought, pot kettle black. But I didn't want to start an argument with this gorgeous young woman who was now sitting on my knee. After a few more drinks flowed, she'd managed to invite a few more of the other go-go dancers to our table, and I knew that she'd be getting back on stage as the dancers rotated. It was then that I beckoned the mama-san and asked her how much to take Daisy out to the bar. 800 baht, barked the mama-san. Okay, I said. Daisy got dressed into a tight, butt-hugging miniskirt and short white top that left little to the imagination. After paying the bill, we ghosted off hand-in-hand into the moonlit Pattaya streets and wasted a few hours getting to know one another while playing pool, drinking cocktails, and joking around. The next morning in my hotel, I asked Daisy how long she'd been working in the go-go. "I come my hometown yesterday," she said. "You, my first customer," she said. Wow, I was amazed at how lucky I was, and I wondered if I could find a way of dating this girl without it being a pay-for-play situation. We went for breakfast and I asked Daisy if she had a boyfriend. She said no. So I asked her if she wanted to be my girlfriend. She said yes. You come see me in my bar. Then I told her that I didn't want to pay to take her out of the bar every day, and she coldly replied, "And how I get money?" So I suggested that I pay her some money, but not bar fine, or money for bedtime aerobics. She seemed interested in this and asked how much I would give her a month. I told her that if she just wanted to go with customers, she could probably make more money. But if she only saw me, she wouldn't have to go with anyone who wanted to bar fine her. "Okay, I like you, can do," she said, in her limited English. Next, she asked me for money for a taxi. "How much do you need?" I asked. She leaned close to me and whispered in my ear, 4,000 baht tilak. I didn't worry about paying 4,000 baht for that night, because we didn't know each other and we hadn't discussed money at all before we left the bar. And true to her word, Daisy began staying over at my hotel after she finished her shift. Sometimes I'd surprise her by going into her GoGo unannounced. Daisy was always happy to see me, and I could tell she liked to have a real boyfriend. She always sat down with me when she had a break from the stage, and of course, other dancers joined us too. That was fun, but it could get quite expensive, so I usually left after 1 or 2 drinks, but come 2:30 a.m. or 3 a.m., Daisy would always rock up at my hotel with food and a few beers, and she usually stayed until around noon the next day. Now, don't get me wrong, I like my sleep, but having an athletic, beautiful young woman keeping me awake till 5 in the morning wasn't something I was going to complain about, if you know what I mean. Daisy was like a dream come true, and after a month of this arrangement, I was thinking about asking her to leave the bar, so that we could get a place together. But then I decided not to get too deeply involved. Things were fine as they were. I would give Daisy some money from time to time and she was happy, and I provided enough for her, and she didn't have to go with multiple strangers as the other girls did. I also bought Daisy some gold jewelry, some new clothes, and a new iPhone. She seemed really happy. And I was happy because I didn't have to pay 5,000 baht a night to see her. At most, she was only costing me around 2,000 baht a night. Money wasn't really a problem for me, and I decided to splash nearly 1,000,000 baht on a new Harley Davidson. A few of my golf buddies took weekend rides with their Thai girlfriends, and I was excited to join this unofficial bikers club. Daisy came with me to pick up the bike, and I got her kitted out with a raunchy short leather skirt and some tight-fitting tops. Now, I really looked like the Pattaya boy, a Harley Davidson, a beautiful young chick, a bachelor pad, plenty of money, and I was still single, living it up in Pattaya. And it felt like I had a real girlfriend, not just a random girl I had to buy drinks for, make small talk with, and then bar fine if I wanted some nighttime action. Then there was the trust factor. Daisy genuinely seemed interested in me, and I could trust her not to pilfer my valuables or my money while I was sleeping in my hotel room. I didn't have to sleep with one eye open, and I'm not so sure I could have trusted other girls like I trusted Daisy, if you know what I mean. Other girls will sometimes take their chances. Money is the king in Pattaya. Fortunately, my US investments and my private pension were enough for me to live like a king here in Pattaya for the rest of my life. And Daisy was 1 in a million. They do exist in Pattaya, guys, but difficult as a needle in a haystack to find, I know. I guess I was just lucky. Anyway, about 3 months after I'd arrived in Thailand, a friend of mine from back home, Paul, came to hang out in Pattaya. He'd never been to Pattaya before, so I showed him around some of the bars I like to go, and we also played some golf together. "So, this is what you've been getting up to in Thailand, eh?" asked Paul. "Oh yeah," I said. I'm a Pattaya boy. I just laughed. One night, I took Paul to Daisy's GoGo bar, and he was pleasantly surprised when he met Daisy. Where did you find her? He quizzed me. Here, I said. Wow. She is light years head and shoulders above the other girls here. I know, I replied, with a huge grin. We had a few more drinks, then, because Paul was only in town for a few more days, we bar-fined Daisy and one of her friends, Ben's, so that we could go to a pool bar and hang out together. The girls looked amazing in their tight-fitting dresses, and they slowly got drunk as we all drank plenty of Jack Daniels and Coke. After taking the girls to a disco, and then on for some Thai street food, we called it a night. The next day, Paul and I headed over to the golf course for 9 holes. What's the deal with Daisy then? He asked. I told him the arrangement that we had, but he didn't seem too convinced. Thing is, John, no offense, but this ain't gonna work, mate. She'll end up going off with some rich guy eventually. Well, if she does, I said, it'll be for the best. I can't be getting married at my age, kids and all that. No thanks. Then, Paul asked me how she is allowed to not take other customers from the bar. I explained to him that she didn't have to, that it was up to her, yet he seemed to think it could become a problem. He said that because the GoGo bar was losing money on bar fines, this would cause resentment from the bar and from the other girls. You're playing with fire, mate, and when you do that, sometimes you get burned, he warned me. Not my problem, I told him, and we left it at that. After Paul headed off to Bangkok to meet up with other friends, Daisy and I went to a small village just outside of Nong Khai on the Laotian-Thai border, where her family were from. She'd been nagging me, in a nice way, to visit her hometown for weeks. I could see that this family visit meant Daisy was keen on a more serious relationship, probably marriage. And I was conflicted, to say the least. I stayed in a hotel in the city which overlooked the Mekong River, a beautiful, idyllic spot with stunning sunsets. On the riverside, there was also a great Irish pub that sold everything you could wish for in an Irish bar back home. And it was run by a cheery-eyed Irishman named, yes, you've guessed it, Paddy, no bullshit. Daisy and I stayed a few more days and I met her large, extended family. Nice people. We had a few dinners together, and Daisy translated between me and her family members. After dinners, they sang karaoke into the early hours and drank cheap whiskey and Chang beer. I had a great time, but I wanted to get back to Pattaya. I made the excuse that I had a business meeting in Bangkok, but I just wanted to be alone with Daisy. So we left Nong Khai, and eventually we got back to Pattaya after spending 3 passionate nights in Bangkok on the way. My life was now in Pattaya. Daisy was in Pattaya. So after 3 months of renting a hotel, I decided to rent a fabulous sea view condo. It had a great outdoor pool, a sauna, and it was close to Beach Road, overlooking the ocean. It was also close to Daisy's GoGo bar, so it was just perfect for me. To kill time, I started selling online goods by drop shipping, which paid for more than half of my expenses. I reckoned I could have built it up more within a year, so I didn't see any problem with money while I enjoyed Daisy and my new Pattaya lifestyle. In fact, things were going so well that I really didn't expect what was going to happen next. Daisy dropped a bombshell on me. She was pregnant, and she wanted to have the baby, and even worse, she wanted me to be around as a father. I was not sideways, holy crap. Responsibility was the last thing I wanted, of course. I told her everything would be okay, but she was clearly worried. She asked me, "You stay with me, yes?" In a panic, I just replied, "Sure, don't worry, honey. I'll take care of you." She left. She still had to work in the GoGo bar. Alone in my apartment, I tried to work out what to do. Daisy texts me constantly. I love you, Tilak, she messaged. I didn't answer. Then, I wondered why she wasn't taking the pill. I'd never asked her. I'd assumed all the girls would use protection working in this industry. So, I texted her, asking her why she hadn't taken the pill. She replied, "Too late, ask now." Then I said something that must have upset her. I wanted to be sure the baby was mine. So I asked her if she was sure the baby was mine, and would she be okay to have a test. This turned out to be a bad idea. She then refused to take my calls for a few days. I think she must have been angry. I thought I'd just let her cool off for a few days and see what happened. Then, about a week later, Daisy called me and asked me to come to the GoGo bar. When I saw her, she said she wanted to end the pregnancy. "I take baby out," she said, with a stone face. "Okay," I agreed. "So I need money for doctor," she said. "Really?" I replied. "Yes, 30,000 baht," she demanded. "But I don't even know if it's my baby," I said. Big mistake, I thought as soon as these words were out of my mouth. On hearing this, she just tightened her lips, squinted her eyes, stood up, turned sharply, and stormed off. Oh well, I thought, that's probably the last I'll see of her for a while. And it was, for a while. A few weeks passed and life pretty much continued as normal for me. I didn't call Daisy. I carried on playing guitar in the Thai band, made a few more new acquaintances, and I focused on my golf handicap. I also took time to go on long motorcycle rides with a few aging hippie bikers I'd met while riding around on my Harley Davidson, Tom from Ohio and Greg from Ireland. Life was good. Then, without warning, I got a missed call from out of the blue from a number I didn't recognize. I texted back and asked who it was. It was Ben's, Daisy's friend. She said, "Daisy wants to see you, John. You make her broken heart." I agreed to meet her, but I didn't want to go to her GoGo bar. Ben's called me back and said to meet Daisy at the Pattaya viewpoint, an elevated mountain platform that has stunning views of the Pattaya coastline and city. It sounded like a romantic spot to have a heart-to-heart, I suppose. I might need to give her some money, I thought. Well, let's wait and see. So, the next day, I rode up to the viewing point at just before 4 p.m. Daisy had her own motorcycle, so I assumed she'd come on that. It was a roasting hot afternoon. On reaching the plateau, I took in some stunning views of the coastline and guzzled down some Singer bottled water to quench my thirst. 5 or 10 minutes passed, and still there was no sign of Daisy. Then, I noticed 3 Thai men arrive on 2 motorcycles. They drove right up to me. I felt sullenly alarmed. I had no idea who they were. Their bikes screeched to a halt, and they were literally a few feet away from me. One of them shouted something angrily at me in Thai. Then he flew at me, punching and kicking me. I lost my orientation and found myself on the ground being kicked and stomped on for a few minutes by the 3 of them. Then everything went black. When I woke up, I was in intensive care in Pattaya Memorial Hospital. My leg was in plaster, and I was in a state of semi-consciousness, feeling dizzy with pain everywhere. It was almost 4 months before I was released. I returned to my apartment overlooking the beautiful Pattaya Bay. Greg, my biker friend, came to stay with me while I started to get back on my feet. I'd suffered 4 broken ribs, a broken leg, broken arm, and a dislocated shoulder. I also lost my front teeth, had a broken nose, and they must have stolen my Harley Davidson because I never saw it again. At least I still had my friends. Greg, my Irish buddy, was great, and Paul, who was still in Bangkok, came to see me. We managed a few beers, but I was still in a wheelchair, so getting out and about wasn't easy. However, and I will never forget this, Paul and I were out for a few drinks one night when he looked at me and said, "Hopefully, John, you'll make a full recovery, mate. And I hate to say this, but I did try to warn you." I was too embarrassed to speak. It took me another 18 months to fully recover, and I'm still in Pattaya, but I've realized you can't have a normal relationship with a go-go bar dancer. That's my story, Jenny. Maybe it's a warning to other men going to Pattaya. Pattaya can be very dangerous if you don't play by the rules, and the rules are not your rules, as my mate said. If you play with fire in Pattaya, John, you will probably get burnt. I realized eventually that I should have given Daisy the 30,000 baht she'd asked for. With hindsight, I can see that was obviously the final demand for payment. I must have missed it at the time, but I reckon I paid 10 times more in the end. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening to my Thailand story. Would love to hear some feedback in the comments. John, Massachusetts, New England.